Welcome to the 12 Report with Blessings Musugu, and these are the headlines. President Tinubu condemns murder of mother, 6 children in Kano. VP Shettima leads Nigerian delegation to Davos as demonstrators gather ahead of Trump's arrival. UK rejects Trump's tariff threats over support for Greenland. As always, we have our reporters stationed in different parts of the country and beyond. Joshua Imarai and Sagir Ibrahim are on standby in the FCT. Emmanuel Bagudu joins from Kano. Chizoba Anyowe is also standing by in Plateau, and Afia Hagan is waiting in London. We've got the details in a moment. Let's start now with judicial matters, where the alleged defamation case involving activist Omoyele Sowore and the Department of State Services, DSS, has stalled as the court has ordered the prosecution to formally serve the defense with its evidence and witness the testimony. Justice Mohammed Umar issued the order following an objection by counsel to Sowore after the prosecution sought to call a witness. We're now joined by our correspondent Joshua Imarai, who is live at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Joshua, we understand that there were moments of tension today in court. What exactly played out, and how did the judge arrive at this decision?
Well, good afternoon to you, Blessings. It was quite an exchange in the courtroom of Justice Mohammed Umar this morning as the court resumed hearing in the alleged defamation case against activist and politician Omoyele Sowore. But before I go into the details of the legal brickbats, let me give you an update of what transpired in court today. Well, upon commencement of proceedings today, the counsel representing the DSS, that is the person of Aki Olukayin, they told the court that they have an amended charge that they need to file before the court, and they want to withdraw the previous charge filed. And this amended charge, we saw that the names of Meta and X was struck out, and was struck out particularly, and the court accepted that charge. Well, upon reading that charge to Sowore, who was actually on the dock, it got to a point where they mentioned official ABAT, and Sowore, who did not hold back, told them that he doesn't understand who official ABAT is. It had to take the intervention of his lawyer, that is the person of Marshal Abubakar, before Sowore actually took his plea on those charges. But moving forward, the counsel to the DSS, that is the person of Aki Olukayin, they told the court that they have a witness that is billed to testify today in court. But this was vehemently objected by the counsel representing Sowore, Abubakar Marshal, who told the court that the court has, the prosecution has brought forth a witness, yes, but they are yet to file the proof of evidence and necessary particulars that will help them prepare for the testimony of that particular witness. It was a moment of tension in court as both lawyers argued over if the witness should be taken or not. The judge, however, ruled that the DSS file and serve all of the proof of evidence to Sowore and his counsel. The court has, however, adjourned to January 22 for definite hearing of the case.
All right, Joshua Marai there with an update on the alleged defamation suit in the FCT, and definitely News Central is following this story closely and will also keep you updated. Now, still staying in the FCT, government activities in the nation's capital have been effectively paralyzed today as workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration commenced an indefinite strike action. The shutdown follows the expiration of a 7-day ultimatum issued by the Joint Union Action Congress, JUAC, which accused the administration of failing to address critical welfare concerns. Currently, the main FCTA secretariat in Garki and the offices across the 6 area councils remain under lock and key, with union officials turning back staff and visitors at the gate. The workers are protesting the alleged illegal tenure elongation of retired permanent secretaries, the non-payment of promotion arrears, and the failure to remit pension and housing fund deductions.
Too much. They brought out success rate of 22.5%. If that is how dunce we've been in the FCT, I don't think we'll be where we are today. And so we called them because this is the first time we're doing a CBT exam. Recall the papers and let's sit on a round table and see what exactly is wrong. I can categorically tell you here that there were glitches. There was power failure, and just power would go off. And they don't come back to look into that. There was power failure here. Time is up, time is up. There were glitches like invalid login details. So you're sitting at your computer, you try to log in, it tell you invalid. There was overcrowdedness. It was just not the way decent exams are being conducted. And immediately after the exams, we wrote our report, this and this and this we observed. So we thought they were going to call us, even with the mass failure by their report. And let's see, so what do we do? So what do we do with the issues that we raised? They didn't. So they just decided to do what they want. Yes, up until this moment.
Just for clarity's sake, is it staff of the FCT that has shut the gate and prevented entry and work activities?
Yes, because that is part of the strike. It will not make sense if you're on strike and then those.
All right, now News Central Sagir Ibrahim is currently live at the Secretariat and he brings us the update. Sagir, we can see the situation right behind you, but we're curious to know, is this a shutdown of all departments or just the essential services like the water board and hospital staff? Are these people exempted from this indefinite strike?
Well, blessings. Good afternoon. It's a shutdown of activities across the area council as explained to us by the president of the Joint Union Action Committee. You can hear the sounds in the background, agitated staff, some of them mentioning that they are given as much as 2 years, for some of these issues to be addressed, but they were not addressed. Saifu, would you like to speak to us? We're live on TV. I heard you mention something about giving the FCT 2 years to address these issues, yet it was not addressed. Can you say something else?
I would like to give my complete president.
Okay, so now that's the issue. Rather, I speak with the president to get more details, but at the moment, the president is engaged right there within that crowd, trying to have some form of engagement with other staffs of the ministry. And of course, we heard that there's a representative from the minister or from the administration speaking with them at the meeting. But then the issues continue to go on. I give you a list of them at the moment that are itemized by the president when I stated that earlier. The failure to address welfare concern, that is one. Secondly, the illegal tenure elongation for permanent secretaries who ought to have retired. She spoke particularly about some of these permanent secretaries who ought to have retired. They have not retired. And the concern now is there's some form of stagnation within the ranks, causing for those who ought to have been promoted not to be promoted. There's also an issue of failure to pay pension arrears. There's mass promotional examination failure, which she had alluded to, saying that there were challenges, especially considering to the fact that the CBT examination was used for the first time, to conduct promotional exams for this staff. And of course, there is an expectation that there has to be one form of bottleneck for the other, which that was the reason for that. There's also the failure to pay overhead arrears as well as intimidation of some workers. These are just some of the issues that you mentioned as the reasons why they have decided to down their tools today after giving a 7-day ultimatum, and it wasn't heeded to. Blessings.
Okay, Sagir, one of the major grievances cited is the illegal tenure elongation of directors and permanent secretaries. Has the FCC Minister, Nyesom Wike, or the administration responded to this specific claims at all, considering it blocks the career progression of other staff?
Well, she mentioned, the president had mentioned something around that issue, trying to be addressed by the Minister of the FCC through our representatives and himself. And like I mentioned at the moment, I believe there's some form of...
We'll try to get back to Sagir Ibrahim to give us more update on the FCT shutdown as he already started to do. But in the meantime, Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived in Davos, Switzerland to lead the Nigerian delegation to the 56th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum, holding from January 19th to 23rd, 2026. The 2026 World Economic Forum marked a milestone for Nigeria with the official debut of the Nigeria House of Davos, a sovereign pavilion established through a public-private partnership to drive investment and diplomatic engagement. Vice President Shettima is expected to present Nigeria's 2026 economic outlook, participate in high-level sessions on artificial intelligence and emerging technologies, and hold bilateral meetings with global leaders as Nigeria showcases opportunities in solid minerals, climate-smart agriculture, and the creative and digital economy, in line with President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda.
The expectations for Nigeria, we have for the first time ever a Nigeria House at Davos, very exciting indeed. It will be declared open by His Excellency the Vice President tomorrow afternoon. At that house, we'll be launching 4 investor playbooks. Really, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has had a whole of economy approach, and we're here on the global stage to present solid minerals, to present our climate, sustainability, agriculture, to present our creative sector, and then our digital sector. So those are the 4 playbooks that we brought with us to Davos to speak with several investors from across the world, and it's really an exciting time for the Nigerian economy.
That's all. Thank you.
You're still live with us on the 12 Report. We go on a short break now. When we come back, we've got more stories. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, a petrol-laden tanker has overturned on the Tinkan-Liverpool Bridge in the Apapa area of Lagos, with hordes of residents and passers-by scooping petrol from beneath the bridge. Eyewitnesses say the tanker tipped over in the early hours of Monday during rush hour, with road traffic management personnel yet to arrive at the scene at the time of reporting. Now, footage shows local grabbing jerry cans and containers of all shapes and sizes as they joined in on the act. News Central's Israel Ifarobo now joins us live from there to give us more updates. Israel, what is the situation where you are at the moment? It seems to me like Nigerians do not learn their lessons now, do they?
Well, blessings, good afternoon to you. You can indeed say that again, that when will Nigerians learn the lesson that when things like this happen on our roads, they shouldn't even come close to such places. But what do we know? But the situation that you saw on social media where people that you just described, where people were scooping diesel from this falling tanker, that has now been controlled. All those people, they've all been taken away and taken out of this place. What we have on the ground right now is that this area here, to my right here, it had been cordoned off. You know, just below this Liverpool Bridge, all the way to if you're heading towards Tinkan Island. That is where this accident, unfortunately, happened about some 3 hours ago. On the ground here, the fire service, and indeed NEMA and all the police are also on the ground here to ensure that this is a controlled environment, so people do not go too close to this falling tanker. This falling tanker here is carrying diesel, and for those who understand these things, it is not as flammable as petrol, as PMS, and that's why just maybe people were just a bit lackadaisical in trying to go ahead to take this particular product. But the latest that we have right now is that they're trying to control this situation here, and a crane has been brought here, as you can see right behind me there. That's a crane trying to take to put back on its feet this tanker that has fallen, and that is the situation right now. I'm going to go straight now to Mr. Akpan, who is here. Mr. Akpan. Yeah, so let's just talk to Mr. Akpan. He's a chief fire prevention officer here at one of the depot close to the area. He was one of those who is on the ground here to ensure that the situation does not spiral out of control. This is News Central TV. Thank you for talking to us. So talk to us now. What is the situation on the ground as the expert?
Thank you so very much for the swift response. About 8:30 this morning, we had a distress call. I will turn up here to see a fallen tanker carrying diesel. And what we did as professionals was to ensure that we contained the spill and we evacuated. There's a market below here, the bridge head. So we have to do evacuation to safety and call on the fire and emergency responder, the NEMA, the fire service, Lagos State and Federal Fire Service. They all turn up to blanket the surface of the spill so that we don't have any fire incident. That we have done, but the challenges we have is that we cannot transload from the fallen truck to another truck because the tank integrity is seriously compromised, and from the drain point of which we need to transload, it has fallen to the ground level. So for us to gain access to that safe point, we need to stand the truck, and that's exactly what we're going to do now. So In a little or no time, we want to stand the truck and commence the transloading. All safety procedure and protocol and precautionary measures has been put in place.
Mr. Akpan, quickly now, of course, we don't have plenty of time. Right now, we can see that they're trying to put this truck back on its feet right now. At the same time, we can see that diesel is pouring out of this truck as well. Are there any safety concerns right now as regards what is about to go on here right now?
Yes, everything about here has a serious safety concerns. What we have done as a result of the leakages before the commencement of the lift is that we have neutralized this, the environment.
How did you do that?
There's foam compound, we call it fluoropotain. We have blanketed the surface of the spill area in case of any ignition. So we don't want to have any fire incident. The spot has been foam blanketed, so we are good to go. So there's a little or no, the hazard has been eliminated by foaming the environment. Thank you so very much.
Mr. Victor Akpan, thank you for talking to us. We'll come back to you much later. Well, blessings, that is the latest here right now. If we can stay on these live pictures here, so we can see how this fallen truck will be back on its feet, and then the transloading of the diesel that is still spilling, can now commence. Blessings.
All right, Israel Efroba there on the Tinkan-Liverpool Bridge accident, and definitely we will be on standby to see when it's raised. Definitely efforts are ongoing to raise the tanker off the road, and we would like to see a time when Nigerians would actually learn from their mistakes. It is not safe to be around these kind of accidents, and we're hoping that if you can hear us, please stay away, as far away as possible from the scene. Now, two more stories. One of the vacant seats in the Rivers State House of Assembly, previously occupied by former Speaker Edison Ehie, will be contested in a by-election scheduled for February 21. The Independent National Electoral Commission fixed the date following Ehie's resignation from the Assembly to take up an appointment as Chief of Staff to the Rivers State Governor. Now, INEC has since released the timetable and schedule of activities for the by-election. However, with just about 1 month to the polls, there are concerns over the low level of visible preparations, raising questions about readiness for the exercise. Correspondent Biola Festus is on standby for updates on this. Biola Festus, what is the update from Port Harcourt? I can see that you're currently at the INEC building. What updates do you have for us?
Good afternoon, Blessing. So the political tussle in the Rivers between the Rivers State Governor and the Assembly members has gone beyond just impeachment. Of course, we know that after the emergency rule, after the governor and the Assembly members came back from the emergency rule, only 26 members out of the 32 members have been sitting on the floor of the House. Now, 2 out of those 32 members one out of them had resigned his position, which is Edison Ehie, who later became the Chief of Staff to the Governor of Rivers State. And then one other lawmaker had passed away for about 2 years ago. So the election for these 2 states have been fixed for February 21st. But the question has been, why are people not indicating interest? Rivers State is a very political state where everything plays out in politics. Unlike the previous years and elections we've been having, by now, we would have started seeing people vying for this position, people meeting with their stakeholders, and of course, people endorsing candidates of their choice, even before the primaries, party primaries begin. But we've seen little or nothing of this in recent times. Now, let's go back to the number that makes up the Rivers State House of Assembly. We have 32 members that make up this house, but 4 out of these 32 have not been speaking with their colleagues. This is not because their states have been declared vacant, because from what we have from INEC, only 2 seats were declared vacant, which is that of Edison Ehie, who later became the Chief of Staff after he was Speaker of the House at one point in time, and the one that died. What about the remaining 4? Now, Jumbo is part of this 4 that has not been sitting with the House. Jumbo, that represents Bonny constituency, at some point also became Speaker of the House before the emergency rule, and of course the political tussle that worked the state. he has not resumed speaking with the House. People have been asking, why has he not resumed speaking? Is the House meant to have called them back to speak to them? What is happening? The other three as well, they have not resumed speaking. Don't forget that during this time of the political crisis, we had four members that made up the assembly, which Oko Jumbo was the speaker. So these four, they've all not gone back to the House. So that's the political situation in River State after that for the House of Assembly. Yes,
all right, thank you, Biola Festus, for the updates there from River State on the INEC conducting by-election for 2 assembly seats, and definitely News Central is also following that very closely. And now, critical stakeholders have converged on Jos, the Plateau State capital, to brainstorm on issues of child's right law in Plateau State and alternative healthcare guidelines. This is at the ongoing 3-day capacity building for media professionals on the alternative care guidelines and child's right law. Right now, News Central's Chizoba Anyowe is one of the participants in this training and now joins us live for more of the details. Chizoba, first, can you tell us more about this training? What does it really entail?
Good afternoon, Blessing. Well, is one of the trainings, you could say one of such that happens not very often. You know, sometimes it tends to look like things that have to do with children are not really taken so seriously, just like you have other things or events that have to do with adults or institutions and, organizations such as those. So this particular event is set aside for media practitioners especially, and some other key critical stakeholders. We have some of them in here, and even the civil society activists to look at ways and measures to bring on board, to know how better to handle things that concern children, how to take care of them, how to also ensure that they don't go into the wrong hands, how they are better, I use the word punished when they go wrong, and all of those. Marriage life is also looked at, maturity and all of those. So all these are centered on the rights of these children, how best to translate this to the normal man on the street, the lay people, And so these are avenues or measures that are being put in place to ensure that these children are better taken care of. We also look at the Constitution of Nigeria, which is different from other countries' constitutions. Even in Nigeria, you have also laws, child rights laws, that are different from other states in Nigeria. So we have a facilitator here that is bringing more knowledge to this. He's here good enough to help us unpack this just in summary, what this training hopes to achieve. At the end of the day, what it would look like having children being taken care of in better ways in Nigeria. Mr. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Thank you very much.
Tell us your name.
Yeah, my name is Augustine Amedu. I'm a child protection consultant for SOS Children's Village.
All right, so tell us, what is the major thing that you want people to learn about concerning this training that is going to hold here for 3 days? And then at the end of the day, what it's going to look like for children in Plateau State and Nigeria as a whole?
Yes, media practitioners are very key in reportage of stories around children. Sometimes children offend. How do you deal with it? And the law, thanks to Plateau State, they are one of the first states to implement domesticate the Child Rights Act as a child rights law in Plateau State. We've also moved on to develop an alternative child care guidelines for Plateau State. And so we want to bring this knowledge of the provision of the child rights law and the alternative care guidelines to media persons and justice. So when they encounter cases of children who are either offended or in particular situations of brought about by humanitarian crisis or disaster, or even in development, normal development, they encounter children who are not with their parents, which is the primary institution for making a child in the family home. However, we have situations that come accompanied of separated children. We have children that need adoption. We have children that require foster care. How should they be addressed? How should these situations be dealt with? The alternative care guidelines and the child rights act now emphasize that children should be de-institutionalized. Instead of putting them in institutions where you have large numbers of children, they should be placed with parents. And where parents are not available, persons who are parents but not necessarily the biological parents of children, these children can be kept with them. These children can also be in supervised home, in family life settings. Instead of putting them in institutions like the foster institutions where they are looked after by paid officials, just look at it as a job. Looking after children is not a job, it's part of the something that is.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time.
With care for the children, with upbringing.
All right. Well, we have a proper understanding now of what this training is all about, and our correspondent Chizobanyo is a participant in that training, and definitely we will get more details as the training continues. But in the meantime, you're live with us on the 12 Report. We go on a short break, and when we come back, we've got more stories. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us on the 12 Report. Now to a sad development up north. President Bola Tinubu has strongly denounced the brutal killing of housewife Fatima Abubakar and her 6 children in Kano's Chiranchi province, community rather. This was disclosed by the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga. The President praised the police for quickly apprehending the main suspect and directed authorities to thoroughly investigate and prosecute them rigorously. Tinubu described the act as barbaric and extended condolences to the grieving families. And now to stories outside Nigeria. Uganda partially restored internet access after longtime President Yoweri Museveni was declared the winner of the national elections. However, the government kept a ban on social media platforms in place to protect public order. The nationwide internet shutdown imposed days before the vote was lifted late on Saturday as general connectivity returned. But major social media sites like Facebook, WhatsApp, X, and TikTok remained restricted. Right now, joining us to discuss more on this is an African Liberty contributor, Gideon Ajay Mawuto. Gideon, thank you for joining us. First, I'd like to ask, what does Museveni's latest victory say about the state of democracy in Uganda, considering all things, including the ban on social media and even connectivity? All right, if you can hear me, could you kindly unmute your device, please?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Great. So I think for Uganda, Museveni has been in power for 40 years now, and this particular election actually was a way to find out if Uganda was ready for change. Now, by Museveni winning this particular election, it signals that change is not going to be possible, but there shall be some sort of internal transformation. This also would mean that the current party and government will try in as much as possible to solidify its hold on the state apparatus and keep itself in power. We see that in some shifts that happened in 2023 when Museveni did some government shifts with ministries and other things like that. So what we see here is that things are not really going to change, but there will be little transformation and then the consolidation of power amongst Museveni's allies and also his family, since they are actually being put into key spaces in government. One question we have to start thinking about is that Museveni is 81. And so this means that the party must start thinking about transitioning. Who is going to take over after Museveni steps out of the limelight or the political stage? And reports have been told his son is the one being groomed to take over, or any other. So we are not so sure how this will play out for oppositions or opposition parties in Uganda. It would actually could mean that most oppositional parties are just going to be dressed up, and the government is going to continue to have a continual rule for the next 10 years after Museveni has gone. So this particular election was an indictment and a way to show strength and to point to oppositional parties that they have come to stay, and the rule of Museveni would continue after he even steps out of the political limelight.
Okay, so I'm also very curious to find how significant the internet shutdown was in actually shaping the election outcomes. Did that have any effect?
Definitely, it had serious effects on the outcome of the elections. Now, we live in the fourth industrial revolution where internet and information goes around. People hardly even spend time watching digital or free-to-air news, so to speak. So what happens is that information concerning the elections, the manifestos of other political parties, that what they are trying to put across is suppressed. Now, that suppression also means that information that voters need to act on is taken away from them. And so we are seeing Uganda playing what we would say procedural democracy. The outlook of having periodic elections that is free and fair. However, what we are also beginning to see is that Uganda is lacking in what one can call substantive democracy. And so here there's no choice being made or given to the people. It's very difficult for them to make choices. So there's an illusion of choice by having a procedural way of running the democratic governance, which is the elections. The shutdown of the internet points out that structurally there is no choice for the people, but procedurally you will go to the polls and you make your choose your candidate. But then the people do not have actually the choice to pick because they have no information on making the actual choices that they know and need to change their lives.
Did irregularities seriously undermine the legitimacy of these results then?
Do come again.
These reported irregularities that we've spoken about, do these seriously undermine the legitimacy of the results? Are we now going to say that the results may not be 100% correct?
Yes, we can come up with that conclusion that the election result may not be 100% correct. In fact, Bobby Wine, who is the best opposition person in Uganda right now, and particularly in this race, has made social media posts pointing out that he feels that this election was fake, rigged. This is an allegation that he has put across, and you can see that those sentiments also with people in his camp. But then also election observers like former President of Nigeria, Jonathan, says procedurally it went well, as in everyone was able to vote, but as they observe the shutdown of the internet, the intimidation of opposition rallies may have contributed to the questioning of the free and fairness of the election. So we can say that, but whether that would take place in Uganda and whether that would sway, say, the judiciary to pronounce a re-election, that is something I doubt we would see. Because again, we have seen that the current government has had a lot of its own cadre in the judiciary. So they do the deeds of the government. So it's quite difficult to say this would be overturned, even by the judiciary.
All right, Gideon, thank you so much for joining us and lending your voice to this very important conversation. And we'll see how things go and see what these reflect for democracy in the country. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back again to the tragic situation in the north, where the president strongly condemned the brutal killing of housewife Fatima Abubakar and her 6 children in Kano's Chiransi community. And we have Emmanuel Bagudu, who is on standby and joins us now for more updates on this. Emmanuel, what more do you have for us concerning this development very quickly?
Actually, directives to the police to security and make sure that all machineries are put in place so that this doesn't repeat itself. And of course, stakeholders have been reacting, government have been reacting. And of course, the last reaction was yesterday from the Kano State Executive Council, where they actually told the press that the Executive Council actually discussed on it. And of course, they are putting a lot of things in place to make sure that it doesn't repeat itself. Right now, I am at the State College of Education, where the coalition of northern groups are educating students on violent crimes and, of course, illicit use of drugs and all of that. I'm with a very interesting guest here who also would like to react to the situation. His name is Nagoni. What's your name? Okay. So how can you react? What's your reaction to what's happening? The president has reacted, the government have reacted, and of course stakeholders. What's your reaction?
Actually, it is one of the despicable acts I've ever seen in my life. But as part of our respect, we are trying to see how we can get rid of our society, drug abuse, of youthful exuberance and stuff like that. Because sometimes this kind of stuff they have connection directly or indirectly. Drugs or substance abuse among the youth, sometimes unemployment, and sometimes all this political project. That's why we are here today in Saturday education gradually ensure that they are coming useful members of the society, so that that kind of crime are actually reduced, if not eliminated in our society.
Yeah, that's a reaction from the coalition of northern groups. But of course, they are telling the public, the students of the State College of Education, they are saying that all these activities, all these stories are related to substance abuse, and of course, they are also teaching the students how to prevent themselves from all these abuses, and they are going to give support to the government in which way they can, to make sure that this doesn't repeat itself. Yeah.
All right, Emmanuel Bagudu there on the Kano tragedy. It's so sad that happened, and definitely we'll keep looking forward to the development. Apologies for the poor audio quality. Definitely, News Central will keep you abreast of the situation as it unfolds. Now, as part of our continued coverage of development across the area councils in the Federal Capital Territory ahead of the February polls, residents of satellite communities are assessing government performance and setting the agenda for political parties and their candidates. In Dangbe community within the Abuja Municipal Area Council, residents are raising concerns over the poor state of public schools and are calling for urgent government intervention. News Central's Idong Joseph joins us live with more updates. Idong Joseph, what is the update on the situation as you have for us?
Here in Dangba community, what we have seen here is the sorry state of school. You just see that dilapidated structure all over. All the blocks here are just dilapidated. So it's unhygienic and uncomfortable for students to even learn. And we try to speak to residents in this community here. What they told us is that because of how the infrastructure here is, students are no longer coming to school, and the facility has just been there, and they've been complaining on and on to authorities to do something about this, but all has been left on deaf ears. But I have someone here in the community who will narrate better the situation here, since he is part of the community here and knows what the community is going through here. And so I'll just walk up to him, and again, I'll let you understand that he doesn't want his identity being shown. So we're going to take him from the back. Okay. First, you'd like to tell us what is the state of school here, and how long has this been, and what complaints, just as you stated earlier to me, that you've been complaining. What complaints have you made so far?
All right, good afternoon. Yeah, welcome to our community. Honestly, this very school has been for over 10 years. It started little, then the complaint was learned through the chief to the office, that is earlier AMAC office, situated at Wuse Zone 2, Parana Street, and the copy to the chairman then. So honestly, the attention has not been given. Now it's development, more destruction to the school, especially the roof and the wall. And the chairs, also even the doors of the classes. As you can see, this school has almost 5 blocks with 12 classrooms, and none of the class is useful anymore. And it has made the children not to be come to school again, because there are reptiles, especially when rain is falling. You cannot, the children cannot sit and learn anything again. So the children have been at the stake, and we are in dilemma in this community because of the children's safety matter to us. Life first before education. So we are urging the appropriate authority, because the community have tired When we let complain, we've written, we have snapped the pictures from roof, doors, window, wall to the appropriate authority, but it has...
We're going to have to leave now, unfortunately, because we don't have much time. But Idong Joseph there with the update on the FCT Area Council election as well. But still to come, UK rejects Trump's tariff threats over support for Greenland. The details of this after the break. Stay with us. All right, many thanks for staying with us. Now, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Monday said a trade war is in no one's interest after US President Donald Trump threatened tariffs on Britain and other countries opposing his plans for Greenland. Now, Starmer stressed that alliances are built on respect and not coercion. And now for more on this, I'm joined by our senior international correspondent and anchor, Afia Hagan. Afia, what exactly is Trump's justification for these tariffs? Does he see Greenland as a strategic asset?
Trump maintains that Greenland is essential for the United States security because of where it's positioned. He also claims that there's a threat from Russia or China taking over Greenland that could be detrimental to the United States security. Both China and Russia have refuted those claims. Now, European leaders have jumped to the defense of Greenland and Denmark, remembering that Greenland is a semi-autonomous nation that is ruled essentially by Denmark. And so European leaders have rallied behind both Greenland, and Denmark to say that they will stand against the United States if they do try and take over Greenland by military means, or if they try to buy the island there in retaliation. Trump has said that he will increase tariffs on a range of European countries, including Denmark, Greenland, the UK. Those tariffs will be 10% from February 1st, rising to 25% in June, and will stay in place until he says a deal is reached.
All right, Afia Hagan there, News Central's international correspondent and anchor on the update on Trump tariff threat. All right, the Nigerian government and analysts say that the economy has entered what they call a consolidation phase after 2 really tough years. So basically what they mean is that the hardest part of the challenge is sort of behind us, and now they want things to calm down, to stabilize and start making sense again. So in simple terms, we've tried some painful fixes, but now we'll see if it will finally work. Now this comes after fuel subsidies were removed. The Naira was allowed to float more freely, and various taxes were also adjusted. All of that hit people hard. Now, transport got more expensive, food prices shot up, rent followed, and daily life became a struggle for many, many families. Officials are pointing to things like the Naira not crashing as badly, inflation slowing a bit, and foreign investors showing interest, again, as signs that the economy is kind of improving. But on the streets, most Nigerians are not feeling any of that just yet. Prices are still as high, salaries are not rising, and a lot of people are just trying to survive from one month to the next month. And for many, nothing has really changed, except that life costs more. So the big question is whether this will actually make life easier. Why exactly are the people on the streets not seeing it? Nigerians are tired of economic jargon. They want to feel the recovery in their wallets. They want to understand how this translates to their pockets as individuals, as citizens, as people who go to the market every day to buy things. Enough of telling people that we are in a phase where things are easing up when actually things are not really easing up. And what are the policies that are put in place to help these people at least save some money? We're talking about the taxes, for example. There's been a lot of pushback on that. And Nigerians are saying that this would affect us more, because imagine that the minimum wage is not less than 70,000 naira a month, which would almost equal over 800,000 naira in a year. That means that nobody's exempt from taxes. But anyways, that is your postscript. And that's all on the 12 report for today. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen, because we want to see what you see. Do also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Masuda.